2018 was the 30th birthday of the Sega Mega Drive, or Genesis as they call it in the USA. Sega said in celebration of that 30th birthday they would release a Sega Mega Drive Classic Mini, but in the end they didn't and postponed the release to 2019. That there is a market for producing classic mini consoles proved Nintendo. How to do it wrong proved Sony, and that there is still a market for producing retro video gaming console that can play old Mega Drive games or NES games or SNES games, for example, proves Hyperkin with the Retron 5, but also Analog with the re-releases of the NES and the SNES. In this video, the Sega Mega Drive Classic Mini, the hardware, the software, which games should be on there, the specifications. This is speculation time. This is what Sega should do. The details about the Sega Mega Drive Classic Mini are scarce, but subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell icon. Then I will update you on everything there is to know about the new Sega Mega Drive Classic Mini. Companies like AdGames drag the good name of Sega through the mud by making terrible consoles with a very poor quality. But yeah, on the other hand, Sega had no problems with it themselves with a reign of 20 years of bad games. Do you remember Golden Axe Beast Rider? Or a reign of bad Sonic games over the last 20 years? Okay, what should they do then? Well, my first item is, why don't you use actual hardware instead of software emulation? I think there are a lot of good FPGA solutions out there already. No lag, please! In the intro I talked about the fact that there is a market for playing the old school retro video game cartridges. What if that new Sega Mega Drive Classic Mini could play the actual cartridges? So next to the built-in games on the console, you can play the actual cartridge. How cool would it be if you can play Master System games and Game Gear games on the thing? You don't have to do that on the console itself, but with an adapter you can sell that separately, so you can upsell your console. And when we are talking about compatibility, why don't you make it possible that you can play Sega CD or Sega Mega CD games on the thing? When you make it a standard, a form factor standard drive, then you can swap it if the drive fails. That would be really good for preservation of the Sega Mega CD. You enable people that never could have owned a Sega Mega CD the privilege of owning one. The next one is a biggie. What if you make it possible that you can download games, additional games for 2 or 3 euros, for example. Make a Wi-Fi connection, make a UTP connection so you can connect it to the internet. Statistics show that there is a market for digital downloads too. So if you do that, and that is my next point, you can drop the price point of the console below 100 euros. Because you can upsell the software of the console. Why don't you make new games for the console? For example, a new Sonic game? And if you don't want to do it yourself, let the team of Sonic Mania do it. And if you license the product to other third parties, then there is a whole broad spectrum of potential software developers that can develop games for your platform. Then it will become a sort of Sega hub, a game hub. Of course, the console should have a HDMI connection and at least 1080p and preferably 4K. Well, now you should make it 4K, because that is the future. Make it at least a little bit future-proof. 720p is so 5 years ago. I know we have a terrible resolution on those old school video games, but at least we want to experience them in an old school resolution, but razor sharp. Then I'd like to use my old school gamepads, my old school Sega Mega Drive controllers. Those were so iconic for the age. So the old school connection, and Hyperkin can do it with the Retron 5, Sega, so can you. Also, while you're at it, make them wireless. Okay, just the old school connection, but make them wireless. And if you don't want to do it, partner up with 8-bit DO or 3-bit, 8-bit DO. Those guys have already the wireless controllers. And a power brick, please. Then what games should be on the console? I noted down some games that I think that are really iconic for the era and really representing the Mega Drive very well. All the Sonic games, no exceptions. Sonic Spinball, also Sonic 3. I know there are probably some licensing issues. Fix it. If the music is the problem, replace the music. Then Echo the Dolphin, maybe 1 and 2, Gunstar Heroes, shouldn't be a problem. It was already on the Mega Drive collection on the PlayStation 4. Thunder Force 4, Alien Soldier, Probotector, Earthworm Jim, Street Fighter, yeah, Mortal Kombat, and Mega Man The Wily Wars, of course. Rise Star. I think that Nintendo did a really good job with their SNES Mini by placing Earthbound on there. Earthbound is a really collectible for the Super NES. And I think that Sega should look at some collectibles that probably no one will ever play in their right mind because they are so terribly expensive. Put them on the console, make sure that the license is in order, in place, so people can play the games. I love to know if you have some additions to this game list and also additions to my feature request list. Let me know in the comments below.